And so tonight's guest absolutely loves Christmas time, not necessarily because of the snow or holiday, but because of married men. And she's spoiled herself with gifts from those married men. She says she likes to sleep with a lot of married men. Her name is Gweneth Lee, and she almost exclusively dates married men. An article in the New York Post and also back in the UK where she is from has crowned her as a serial mistress, meaning sleeping with a lot of married men. This month, she's sleeping with 7 married men alone, and she tells me she has no problem with that title. That is pretty bold, Gweneth. Married men at Christmas time.
Well, you know, sensationalism sells.
Did they get it right or were they wrong?
They're actually quite right. The articles usually come out first in the UK, where I also have a home, and I've had some pretty outrageous covers come out in the magazines there and on television.
And so, how did you get I guess the title serial mistress? First of all, how did you get that title?
Well, basically, you know, the stories originally came out in the UK when I was living in London full time, and I was interviewed by a married dating site there called Illicit Encounters, and basically they had done this story about some of the affairs I'd had because I was on the married dating site meeting married men from there, and so they just said, "Oh, so you're a serial mistress," and I said, "I never thought of it that way, but I guess I am."
And why married men?
It's really simple. Anybody who's single will completely understand why. Every time I tried to go back into the singles market, I'm a widow. Just dating single men was just really arduous. And I found that the married men, you know, when they actually had one day a month free or 4 times a year to get together, they were 100% present. They were really happy to see me. And for a woman, there's nothing more exciting than when a man sees you and his eyes light up and he's thrilled to be there and he's 100% focused on you. It's really quite lovely.
And do you continue on in a relationship with the married men, or do you go to a different married man? Do you stay long-term with one person?
You know, that's a great question, Isaiah, because, you know, I've had affairs. I had an affair with one man that lasted about 8 years, on and off. I was living in London full time. He was from Denmark. And basically, whenever he was in London or he would come to Amsterdam, I'm also a Dutch citizen, so I had a home in Holland and in London at the time. We'd meet up in either or. And, you know, sometimes if I had a boyfriend, we'd stop for a while. And then when that fizzled, we would start again. And that was kind of just something fun that went on for about 8 years. But I also had other men I would see as well if I was single and available.
Now, while you're dating, if you have a boyfriend, then you are loyal to that boyfriend, right?
Yeah, when I date and I'm in a relationship, I'm monogamous. It's just when I'm single, yeah, I'm free to do whatever. And I have to say, dating single men is not very interesting. I tend to just go for the married men because they're more fun.
Now, why December? You said you enjoy, and I think you have on your schedule, on your plate in December, 7 men that you're meeting through December up until December 23rd when they go back to their families.
Yeah, that could be quite possible. Everybody likes to catch up before the end of the year, but it's not necessarily, frankly speaking, that I'm sleeping with all 7 of them. It's also meeting up for lunches. You know, I'm kind of between here and London every now and then. The end of the year, I still have a property there, but it's rented, so I go back to check on everybody, check on some of the stuff I do there. So, you know, we catch up. You know, in London, it's very common to have memberships at private clubs. So you go for a lovely lunch, we drink champagne, maybe they give me a gift of a spa day. So it's just kind of fun. It's catching up. Not necessarily all of them are coming back to my hotel room with me. I mean, some of them will, you know, catch up because they're in town or they're in America. We catch up when they're here in America. And yeah, we meet here, or maybe we get together and have fun. You know, it all really varies.
Now, you said the married men give more expensive gifts than, say, someone you're dating who is single.
That's absolutely true. I mean, and I think they're more thoughtful gifts. I think of, for example, a Danish man, married man I had an affair with, he would just buy me the most beautiful, like for Easter, porcelain eggs. You know, I would get beautiful perfumes, where a single guy might show up with, I don't know, something he picked up on sale. And maybe he bought, you know, 3 of them for all 3 of the women he's dating. And, you know, if they even show up with a gift. I mean, in the old days, you know, I love being in California. California men are romantic. They always show up with flowers. And I think as a woman, we get quite spoiled. When a man shows up with flowers, you're automatically thinking, oh, he's so nice. Look what he did for me. And, you know, I think with the married men, they make more effort because, you know, they know that if they make an effort, they get, you know, 4 times back. You know what I mean?
In some of the locations that you said some of the married men have met you, doesn't sound like they're broke-ass people. Sound like they're well-to-do, well-heeled individuals.
As they should be. This isn't rocket science, Isaiah. I mean, I'm not going to date somebody who has less than me. And, you know, I'm not a cougar. I should say that. Yes, I am 50, but I'm not a cougar. And, you know, it's something that, you know, if I'm going to go for a lovely meal, I don't want to go somewhere that, you know, I wouldn't even go to if I was on my own. You know what I mean? And, you know, they're on an expense account when a lot of these men meet me. I had for a long time a consultancy with offices in Singapore and Hong Kong, and I would say, oh, I'm going to be there. And they'd say, me too. And we would just coordinate our days and then catch up. And yeah, and it was a lot of fun. So they were, you know, they tend to be top executives or have, you know, quite international jobs, well-heeled, well-educated, you know, cool guys.
But your end game is not to just get money from them, but you want someone that you are having an affair with to be able to provide during that time.
Oh yeah, I mean it's you know I remember when I was 19 years old. I was a receptionist at a Ferrari Rolls-Royce dealer, and the president of the company came down and found me crying, and he said, "Listen, let me make one thing very clear, princess." And he tilted my little chin up, and I was crying over my boyfriend who'd run off, and he had no money, and it was terrible. And he said, "It's just as easy to love a rich man as a poor man. You just need to focus, because it's more comfortable to cry in first class than it is in the back of the plane."
And I guess that changed your focus, or at least helped guide you in the.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I have a good, you know, I have a good financial position. I mean, you know, I'm an art collector. I collect antiques and rugs. I have multiple homes, and I paid for them myself. I also am widowed. I received an inheritance, and my family has money. So, I mean, I'm in a good financial position. I'm not expecting someone, you know, to be exactly where I am or have the lifestyle I have. However, you know, it's easier to go up than to go down, and parallel is fine, if that makes sense.
Since Gweneth Lee that we were talking to earlier is in a league of her own, and you can clearly see that. Multiple married men share her time and affection. There's a lot of questions to be asked about her unique lifestyle. I had to ask if she felt guilty dating another woman's man, and also, did it feel like prostitution?
If that makes sense.
And Gweneth, has any of these men ever told you, I would leave my wife for you? And if you heard that, what did you say? What did you do? And is that something you want?
No. Every married man I've ever met, I predominantly have met through a married dating site. And I made it very clear from day one. The most important thing was, I want to make it clear. At the minute you think that you're going to leave your wife for me, I will end the relationship. If you think that I'm going to replace your wife, I will end the relationship. I'm not interested in being a replacement. I'm not interested in taking over, you know, her place. I'm not. I'm strictly interested in an affair, nothing more than an affair, and this will never be more than an affair. And there are some men who I think have these fantasies that, you know, they're going to be married to their wife and they're looking for love and they're looking for all this, but, you know, they have maybe a sick wife who's unwell, or they have a wife who just, you know, has gone through the change and is no longer interested. And so basically they're just looking for this great love of their life. And I'm not there to be the great love of their life. I'm there to be their lover. And that's it. I just want fun. I want to be symbiotic. And that's it.
Absence the element of money, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's almost the way a prostitute is. Like, I'm not interested in having a long-term relationship with you. I just want to do this transaction and move.
You know, I think there's a lot of ways of looking at this, and you can call it anything you want. But, you know, I think there's
and
a lot
once again, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just thinking about the two, the analogy of the two in my mind.
I've been called far worse, trust me.
But I'm not calling you that.
You know, I think that there's a lot of different ways of looking at this, and you bring up a really great point, because there's a lot of words that people can call women that are derogatory for choosing to be open about being a lover of men. And, you know, I think that, you know, would a woman who's looking for the father of her children and the man that she's going to be married look for a man that doesn't have a prospect for the future? When a woman's looking for a future husband, she's looking for a man who has the potential to be a good provider, a good father. He's hardworking. She's not going to look for a loser. She's not going to look for someone who has no potential, doesn't have anything interesting to say, who sleeps all day, forgets to go to work, drives a broken down car, and expects her to pay for it. She's going to look for a real man. She's going to look for someone who has potential. Does that make her a gold digger? Does it make her a prostitute? No, it's a woman who wants a great husband with the potential to have a long-term relationship where they could build a family. When you choose to be a lover, you know, I'm not looking for the house, I'm not looking for the car, I'm not looking to have kiddos, and I'm definitely not interested in doing his laundry. I really don't want his mother. I want to meet him. I want to have fun. I want to go out to eat. I want to go to nice hotels. You know, if I can join him at a conference and I'm available those days, great. And I'm just looking for something that's fun and symbiotic. And whatever somebody wants to call that, that's their business. I mean, somebody's opinion of me is none of my business.
I hear you. Now, is there ever, Gweneth, a time when you feel guilty about it? Or you try to keep yourself emotionally detached from the way the wife feels? Or even if, and you said in some instances, the wives are not even interested in having sex with their husband, but do you ever feel guilty at all?
No. You know, there's many reasons why someone chooses to have an affair. And, you know, I was on a TV interview in London and the woman said, but what about the children? And I said, what does his children have to do with me? They have nothing to do with me. And the wife has nothing to do with me. Because a husband and wife, you know, no longer make love, and that's frequently with the men that I've engaged with, a lot of it is the women have either a medical condition, they're unwell, or they've gone off sex. They just don't like sex anymore. And he's chosen to seek a piece of the puzzle elsewhere, outside of the home. And he's taken, quite often, intimacy off the table at home and just said, I'm going to go feel that puzzle piece elsewhere. And if he's a wise, intelligent man, he's going to do it as discreetly as possible. And if he's an intelligent man, he's going to do it with a woman who's not going to cause problems for his home. Because if his wife, for whatever reason, no longer chooses to be intimate, you don't want to torture the poor woman. It's just she's lost interest. And he knows it, she knows it. It could very well be awkward. And, you know, he's wise to choose a woman who says, listen, I only want an affair. I want nothing else. Let's keep it at this.
All right. Gweneth Lee, fascinating. You're intriguing, fascinating, and of course, based in California, but you live all over the world. We appreciate your time here on The Factor Uncensored, and it was a pleasure to meet you.